Welcome back to part 2 of part 3 of Tale of Two Towns. Rutger's gonna let himself in before we get the chance to say, no, it's not okay. But we can't stop him. He's the mayor. Other places have laws against this. Rutger's gonna tell us about the animal festival. Seeing as this is the animal town, over in Konohana they have a crop festival. In our case, the animal, or for them, the crop that they judge for each festival alternates depending on the season and the year. In this case, it's chickens for us, but since we only got our chicken just a few days ago, it's probably not going to win. But it's still a good idea to enter your chicken. Even if you have no chance of winning, just entering into the festival will increase your friendship points with the other contestants. So there's no reason not to. And if you do happen to win, you might actually get something, but we're not holding on to that hope. Rutger also tells us the theme of the next cooking festival. The theme of both the cooking and animal festivals you can find just by looking at your calendar, though. Rutger doesn't need to come here, it's just in case you don't pay attention. Which, knowing some of us, is fair. And that's not necessarily true. No, you can't enter foods that are rotten, but also, no, it doesn't really matter what freshness of ingredients you use. As long as the ingredients aren't rotten, the food you make will be fresh, and the stamina you get will be about the same. Hopping over to the calendar, we can see that each individual cooking festival is laid out for us. The cooking festivals are limited from the first one being salad, then the next one will be soup, and then main dish, and finally dessert. And every season will have all 4 cooking festivals. And as long as the food you enter is top quality, and you're likely to win, doesn't matter what you enter, as long as they are part of those categories. And when you go to cook, you can find those specific dishes in those categories. The game has 6 different ones. But of course, the cooking festival only worries about the 4. Further example of me fucking around with fast forward, just because it's fun. I got a little confused there, because the sound of the fodder dropping out of the trough has the same sound as me jumping. See, I don't think I'm missing anything else about the cooking festival. I do realize, oh, I didn't need to actually give my horse the treat. If I was far enough back, or if I was in just the right angle, I would accidentally throw the treat into the storage again. Wanted to see if I could do this again. But nope, didn't get a good this time. But still fun to just throw your stuff into the storage. Are chickens supposed to sound like that? Can we get an expert? Because that always sounds like a turkey to me. In town will be either lucky or unlucky enough to find that there are no requests today. That's not going to be a particularly common sight once we really get into the nitty-gritty of the game. Most days, there's going to be something that someone wants you to get. At the very least, we can give a gift to our favorite person. I dropped into Diego's house before he had actually set up shop. By which I mean I'm going to eat you. But if you come in before someone has set up, you can actually see them lay out their items, which is cool. Diego and Raul are always on time. Gombe over in Konohana, who sells seeds, it takes him like 10 minutes to get over to his desk and then actually start selling seeds. Even though the shop is technically open at 10 a.m. sharp. What a guy. Was lucky enough to catch a couple of new butterflies. Even though I'm gathering a bunch of random items, pretty much all of which I know I won't be able to cook with, and probably won't have any other particular use for other than selling. Early on, good idea to just gather everything either to sell or to hang on to once you get tools. Not so much in the case of the rocks and the twigs, those aren't worth very much. Material stone and lumber are worth 10 each, but the stones and the rocks are only worth up to around 7. Also, yes, you do enough of the same thing, the Harvest Goddess will come along and tell you that you have done that thing a lot. Not really worth much. It's not the same as actually leveling up and catching critters or fish. But it's an interesting way to remind you that yes, you are doing something. Do take note of where every little critter or fish turns up. Sometimes you might get a random request that asks for them, and they might be one of those rare critters or fish that you don't see very often. If you recall, while briefly looking at the calendar, today is George's birthday, and luckily she likes herb perfume, which is very easy to make. Just find 3 herbs out on the mountain, then give them to Kim. It's not worth a lot if you were to sell it. That also means it doesn't cost a lot to make. And characters will take note of you giving them items they like on their birthday. They'll be happy that you got them something for their birthday, but they'll still be kind of on it if you give them something they don't like. Well, in a failed attempt to look for Ash, I did remember that you can jump into the feeding trough, and the game doesn't like you doing that. But still kind of fun. The reason he's not here is because Jessica's shop is closed, so he could be anywhere around town. Later on during the day, you might be able to see him hanging out in front of Cam's flower shop. So I'm guessing they're buddies. And also, only a half star. Look, he's not as discerning as you'd like to be. How do you know? You've been in your house. I'm not gonna disagree with you, Rose. Not that I would know, I never need to eat. So while exploring the mountain, I came down here to one of the fishing ponds. And in a failed attempt to catch this butterfly, I realized I never actually showed what it's like to find something by just jumping into the water. And well, I got plenty of stamina, let's test this. And I managed it. This is pretty uncommon, actually finding something. Got a poisonous mushroom, which... there are better things I could find, admittingly. But hey, at least poisonous mushrooms are actually worth something. Rocks, not so much, so we're not going to worry about that. If you get trash, or rocks or lumber, either while rod fishing or, in this case, body fishing, do not throw them in the water, whatever you do. All of the friendship points that you've tried to gather from all the animals will go down if you throw trash into the rivers. So, be smart, recycle, basically. I'm getting lucky today. There's quite a bountiful harvest around the mountain. Scrap metal is one of the more common things you can get in that hole. And here I got something I really want, ore stone. I mentioned this before. If I got a hammer, I could drop the ore stone onto the ground and then break it and get a very expensive ore, typically. If anything, it's worth a ton of money. But what I really want to do with the ore stone, leave it unbroken, just keep it in your storage. Shang and Eileen, at different points, will ask for raw ore stones in order to upgrade some of your tools or even your house. And even though that's not for a good long while, if you've got them in your storage, you will always be able to do that. And it adds up to a total of about 17 raw ore stones you'll need for those. So as long as you've got all them, you're set. And any more ore stones you can get, you can break and make a crap ton of money. Mithril, in particular, is very nice to find. That's worth 5,120 gold. I missed Kana. Can't do anything with him until tomorrow. If you're out foraging, but you know for sure you want to meet someone before their shop closes, it's usually a good idea to just rush ahead to that town and then take care of foraging on that side of the mountain later. Not gonna sell too much, because an important thing to keep in mind, if you haven't been to a town yet and you haven't checked the requests, there's a good chance you might actually sell an item that someone's asking for. In that particular case, no, we haven't even seen a moondrop flower yet. So that's the one that can take several days. Moondrop flowers and the blue flowers, those only seem to show up on particular days of the week, and not every other day. It'll take a long while, so those in particular you want to hang on to in your storage for a while. Man, I really wish I had a pot. Because if I had curry powder and rice, which I don't think has been sold yet, but if anything, I can't do anything with them if I did, I could make one of the more expensive and easy to make dishes in the game. There are multiple forms of curry. Each one takes rice that has been pre-cooked in a pot, the curry powder, and then one and or a couple of other additional ingredients, and each one is worth several thousand gold. Curry is a very nice thing to make. I'd like to talk to you about it. We do get fruit tree seeds, but that's not until a year from now, and talking to you about it is never an option, so I don't know what you're on about. There she is. I was looking for Reina just because I wanted to say hi, not because I actually have the moondrop flower. Usually people ask for the blue flowers, and usually in those cases I don't have them when I need to. But moondrop flowers is gonna be a while before I find those. Gambe, you'd break a hip as soon as you started walking. Unfortunately, I made the mistake of coming here after 6 p.m., which means that Kana's place is closed, and I can't upgrade my cart yet. But I'm stuffed anyway. An important thing to keep in mind, along with the space in your cart and your storage, your personal rucksack is able to hold 3 boxes worth. That's kind of what I call each block, or menu, if you will, of your inventory. And the game doesn't tell you that you have 3 boxes worth of inventory space until you've already filled up another box, and then it's opened up the next one. So if it looks like you're running out of inventory space, but you haven't gotten to the 3rd box yet, you have more inventory space, don't worry. Even though it's really late, and there's not a whole lot going on, I still like to go around and just gather a few more things. There's never a reason to not increase your funds while you can. Early on, we're spending as much money as we are making. Luckily, I find an old boot, which was surprisingly rare. And yes, along with the old balls, those are used to get the master fishing rod. Yes, again! One of these days I'll figure out the consistency to that. Maybe. I speed those up, but I keep them in, because that's just one of the more satisfying parts of this game. Having spent a full day, gone out foraging, done your requests, you've got a cart and a bag full of stuff. Just dump it all into the shipping bin. And you know when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna have a nice big bag of cash waiting for you. And since that was such a small day, let's go ahead to the next one. Oh crap, it's raining. But that is always satisfying, getting that god X amount of gold, and it's always a nice high amount. Since we got the cow indoors quickly, it hasn't affected her in any way. I hope my fellow people with tinnitus enjoy the soundtrack for this, because there is no music when it's raining, just the rain. Funnily enough, the game is very particular about what feed box you use. It needs to be this one. Can't use any more until I've gotten a ton more animals. And the cow noticed it. You might have noticed just the edge of the exclamation mark dialogue box that popped up overhead. But still, it's going to take her forever to get over there. Come on. I'd push you, but I don't know if that would affect it. There we go. It doesn't mean anything! Yay! She does sometimes give you small tips once she's told you something useless. More often than not, you might already know it by now. You can more or less overstock each individual feed box if you want. I do like that the feed boxes do change their appearance as you do. They get more and more full. And here's why rain doesn't really affect anything in this game. Aside from maybe things you'll find out on the mountain. Everyone wears umbrellas. You might have seen yesterday, Raoul was selling a blue umbrella. I don't bother with umbrellas in this game, because they take up our inventory box right there. And then I would need to... You press Y to put your items back in your inventory. I would need to do that, and then pull out another tool. And I can't tell of any particular loss in stamina that's increased by the rain, so I'm not even bothering with an umbrella. Not even to accessorize. No requests today in Bluebell, but the routine is going to be much of the same. After the next part, I'm going to be cutting out entire days if I need to, but I'm keeping most of this first week to give you an idea of how generally the game plays out. I like women soaking in cold. Earlier on in the day, you can catch Cam indoors. Around here, usually, especially when it's raining. So Cam's deal, I haven't really talked much about him. Though I might have talked about him more than the others. Go figure. But he's the sensitive, sweet guy. A lot of his requests involve taking care of cats that he just finds around town. No, you never see the cats yourself, but it's cute at least. And here's a unique critter that you get when it's raining. Frogs. There's about 4, maybe even more, different types of frogs you can find. So I'm pretty sure I haven't found them all. But they only turn up when it's raining, and they're one of the few critters that don't run away from you. What a first request. Ayami wants a weed. It just kind of says it all, I think. And I immediately find one, so there you go. Other requests you'll ask for poisonous mushrooms. Hero typically asks you to find actual food for him, because he's very bad at keeping stock. I would have liked if, like the requests, when you leveled up in critter and fish catching, it actually had a benefit of some sort. Ooh, a yellow wonderful. So, in this game, there are multiple colors of wonderfuls. There's 6 of them: red, orange, blue, yellow, green, and purple. And once you collect all of them, you're able to get a wish from the Harvest Goddess. You're not going to collect all of them in one year, though. Some of them you can only get by hand fishing, some by rod fishing, and only in particular seasons. Some of them you might find while foraging, like looking in one of the cracks in the wall. But that wish, we'll get to that wish when we get there. One of those, if you're playing as male, is a requirement in order to marry one of the bachelorettes that we haven't met yet. Which is strange. And here's something interesting about rainy days. They may not last the whole day. One of 2 things will happen. Either the rain will last the entire day, or it will only happen in the first or second half of a day. We haven't gotten a way for us to check the weather yet. We need to wait for a request to come up for the mayor of our town to tell us that they have a broken radio, and for some money they'll fix it and give it to us, and then we can check the weather for today and the next day from there. Because there are no TVs in this particular harvest moon. It doesn't take so long to get the radio that not knowing the weather becomes a hindrance. We don't have enough animals to get sick, and we haven't even planted any crops yet. But it's something you'll want to check every single day, though. I like Ayami's explanation of why she asked you for a weed. Well, no, I wouldn't guess because it's called a weed. She talks as if you've given her multiple items. I gave her one stalk of weeds. Yeah, that's why weeds suck nutrients from other plants. Her requests are always asking you for things that she can use to make medicine. And she pretty much always gives you apple jam. And she laughs a lot. She kind of worries me. Seems like someone's drunk aunt. Alright, let's finally upgrade our cart. But first, I'll look at some of the pets we can get. Which I will not be getting. At least not for a good long time. There's no real benefit to them. If anything, they're kind of a hindrance. We can actually buy 2 new carts, the bamboo cart and the striped cart. Both of them start with the same amount of space, 4 boxes worth, and they can both be upgraded up to the same amount of space. So if you buy one, you don't need to buy the other. But you people in the thread can vote on which one they would like me to buy, because I will be getting them eventually. We cannot upgrade our current cart nearly enough for our needs, but one of the others will certainly do us. So, striped cart or bamboo cart, which one do you want me to go for? I wish there was a separate place I could put the Wonderfuls. I need to check if I could just throw them on the ground. Do they just stay there? Like somewhere in the corner of my house. The reason I'm not getting any of the pets, or if anything I'm not getting a dog or a cat, because their only real benefit is that they will go into the barn, take one of the random cows, sheep, or whatever, and drag them outside. And when I'm trying to take care of animals, that's not always helpful. Sunny days, obviously, not when it's raining. Remember that critters, fish, and other foraged items have separate places in your inventory, so you get 2 screens worth for bugs and for fish, but like 3 for the other items. And here, since I have so much stamina and it worked so well last time, might as well just slowly kill myself in the water. Didn't find anything this time, though. I really wish I had a pod. With just some flour, if you put it into the pod, you're able to make bread, which is a pretty good use of Ayame's apple jam. Shang also gives you some jam, and Reina gives you blueberry jam, which any of those jams you combine with bread while you're cooking, you're able to make jelly bread, which is typically worth a little bit more than if you were to just sell the jam itself. So it's something that I like to do when I get the chance. And here I was just foraging around a little bit. But then I slipped and nearly died. I got dangerously close, so here I'm just making sure I don't run into a boar again. Luckily, it doesn't seem to be around right now. Also, I don't think I've shown off the mouse. They'll show up in a few places. That one in particular shows up late at night, though. And since we're so close to Konohana, I'm gonna stay here for the night. Tomorrow, we're gonna finally have our first cooking festival. And since we're new and kind of pitiful, Rutger's gonna take care of it for us. You'll see. Hope you enjoyed, hope you stick around, and I'll see you next time.